Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Gaelic Gridiron podcast, the fastest growing American football podcast here in Ireland. We are just a couple of months away from the Aer Lingus College Football Classic making its return to the Aviva Stadium. And a man who will be taking centre stage on that occasion in front of a home crowd is Georgia Tech punter and proud Kerry native David Shanahan. David, thanks for being here.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
David, when we last sat down, you were actually one of the first guests we had on the podcast. It seems like so long ago now. And at that stage, you were only really getting started on your college journey. And now you're coming into your last season, your senior season. So talk to me about what the whole experience has been like.
Yeah, no, it's been class. Honestly, it kind of flies by in a way. Just, I suppose, the structure of college football, so I got there in June, my freshman year, and then you're kind of just thrown into it. Like, I remember my freshman summer was kind of, I don't want to say overwhelming, but it's kind of like such an adjustment. Like, I knew what college football was going to be like, but it's different when you get into it and you go into the lifts and the runs and the meetings and the practices and all. And then my first season, I suppose, was just kind of sink or swim, really. I was looking back, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of relying on instinct, relying on the coaching I got in Australia. But at the same time, there's only so much they can coach you until you actually get out in a real college football game. It's kind of, it's a different ball game. It's a different speed. Everything happens so fast. But yeah, as you said, like, going into my senior season now, I think I've started probably 37 straight games now. So I've got plenty of college football experience. So yeah, I'm definitely feel like I'm in a good position heading into this year.
Has it been everything that you imagined it would be? So before you came in, obviously you knew about college football, but you say there that it's different once you get into it. Like, was it when you were waiting to join Georgia Tech and now you're at the end of this journey? How has it compared? How was the experience compared to what you thought it might have been like?
Yeah, it's bigger than I even thought it was. Like, I knew it was a huge deal, but like, just the sheer scale of it, honestly, just the facilities to the stadiums. I mean, like, I've been so lucky. Like, we played in so many cool stadiums, like Notre Dame, Clemson, like we played Virginia Tech, all those class, historic venues, and even like Bobby Dodd here is 55,000 packed out. That's something you can't really appreciate until you're actually there, until you actually, go to a game and experience it. So yeah, it's honestly it's probably been better than I even could have expected it to be.
You talk about some of the historic stadiums that you've played in, and I got a chance to see you play in Notre Dame Stadium. We won't talk about that game, though. It didn't end well for the Yellow Jackets.
I was busy. I was very busy, unfortunately.
You saw a lot of punts that day. So, I mean, I'm sure you've had many so memorable moments, but is there anything that kind of stands out to you as being the highlight of your time at Georgia Tech?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple. You go through a season and there's so many ups and downs throughout a season. And, especially my position, you get kind of 4 or 5 chances a game. And it can go really good or really bad, whatever way it is. But one that sticks out to me is North Carolina this year. I think they were ranked 15 or 16 in the country. And we had them at home here. It was our homecoming game. And my whole family was out. And I think we beat them it was a high-scoring game. It was like 45-38 or something. And the stadium rushed the field after. Night game. It's just class experience. It's kind of the epitome of college football, upset win. Fans rush the field, just class. The whole family there. That's probably my highlight.
I think I was looking at your stats there from your season so far. Is it safe to say that you had a 71-yard punt at one stage?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, against Duke, I think it was. Sometimes you get. I think I hit it. I hit it pretty well off my foot, and then I think the returner kind of fumbled it. It took a roll. You kind of get lucky sometimes with punts. They hit the ground the right way. They just kind of take off. You can get unlucky as well, obviously. Sometimes you hit a great punt and it hits the ground and it just bounces 10 yards back, and you're like, God.
And how do you cope with those situations? I mean, obviously it's very high pressure, and it's not just a case of you getting the snap and then, swinging a boot at it. You have 11 lads, big lads, who are bearing down on you intent on killing you. I mean,
Yeah.
does that ever get any easier, or what's that whole thing like?
Um, it doesn't get easier. I mean, I feel like they get bigger and faster and stronger every year for some reason. But you definitely, it's such a psychological thing. You have to mentally prepare for it kind of the week of the game. And the big thing for me is kind of treating practice reps like they're game reps. And I kind of try and get as nervous as I can for practice. And then once you get to a game, you're just all right, I'm just doing the same thing I did in practice on Tuesday morning, But yeah, it's definitely not something you get used to. But like, I remember my freshman year, we were playing at Notre Dame, and I went out for the first punt. It was their senior day. It was sold out, like 70,000 people, 80,000 people, whatever it was. I remember looking up and seeing like the gold helmets. They're all like 3-point stance, like ready to come. And I remember just getting spooked by it. Because as a freshman does, you're not really experienced when you're a freshman. But after that, I was kind of like, all right, I really got to you kind of got to visualize it the week of, the night before. And then once you do that well enough, you feel like you've been there before, and it's not as hard. You don't get as spooked by it. You just kind of worry about what you're doing, and whatever they're doing is whatever they're doing. As long as I do my job well enough, I know it's going to be fine.
You've mentioned some big programs there. You talked about Clemson and Notre Dame, but who is the toughest team that you've ever played against? Can you pick one?
The toughest. I mean, we obviously played some really good teams. Like we play obviously UGA every year. They've been really good the last couple of years. So as far as I think, like we played them the year they won the national championship, they've probably been the best. As far as the toughest goes, I mean, I feel like we've got a really tough team at Georgia Tech. It's kind of something we pride ourselves on. I remember going to Pitt my freshman year, sophomore year, and I think they kind of pride themselves on punt blocks and stuff like that. So I remember they were just coming after us a lot, which was kind of tough. You just kind of have to, get the ball off quick, kind of be really confident in what you're doing. And kind of when you're up there, especially in like the colder stadiums, we played them in like November. So you're going Pittsburgh in November, like super windy stadium. So that's probably a tough place to play, but we won that game actually. But yeah, there's definitely some tough teams we play every year.
You were a bit of a trailblazer when you joined Georgia, because you were Georgia Tech, sorry, because you were one of the first Irish lads to actually go over and play college football. So you kind of started a trend in a way. So now that more and more lads are following the same path as you, and you get GAA players and rugby players going to play college football, what's it been like to watch that as one of the first guys who had the opportunity?
Yeah, no, it's really cool. Obviously, I mean, like it always kind of made sense to me. Like Australian lads have kind of been doing it for years. Obviously, Pro Kick started that kind of, I suppose, 2009, 2010, from guys coming from AFL backgrounds, rugby backgrounds. So I always thought it made sense that Gaelic football players, rugby players in Ireland could do it for sure. So yeah, it's definitely it's a cool trend. It's just a growing game, making it more international. I know there's a few more Irish lads as well down in Pro Kick that followed me. I think there's 3 down in Melbourne right now, training. So yeah, it's cool. It's really cool just seeing more lads getting over here.
What advice would you give to any of these young lads who are now pursuing the dream, or thinking about pursuing the dream of playing college football, who are coming from a GA or rugby background, having been through it yourself?
Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing that I did was I just watched guys that were there already. Watched guys in college football, watched guys in the NFL, and literally just tried to copy them. And you pull different things from different guys, and you just kind of figure out what works for you. But it's like everything. It's about working hard and getting the reps. Getting bigger, faster, stronger. Obviously, like getting a scholarship is such a hard thing to do, and it's such a big obstacle to overcome. But then it's like once you actually get the scholarship and you're there, it's probably even harder, to win a starting spot and maintain it. So I probably when I was going in, I thought getting the scholarship was going to be not the end of the road, but like, oh yeah, I'm here now, I'm grand. But actually, the process of actually getting over here and winning a job and maintaining it's probably harder than actually getting the initial scholarship. So just kind of be mentally prepared for that as well.
You're coming into your senior season now. This is your final season in Georgia Tech. What do you hope to achieve in 2024 from the season ahead?
Yeah, I think we probably have definitely probably the best team we've had in my 4 years here, 3 years here. Last season was our best season we've had since I've been here. It was the best season in a while for Georgia Tech, and we pretty much brought nearly everyone back, or a lot of our key contributors. So yeah, honestly, it's just kind of one thing I've learned over college football is that don't think too far ahead. Just kind of take it 1 week at a time, because when you think too far ahead and you kind of you have a good game, you're like, oh, if I pull together 4 or 5 more good games, I'll be here or whatever. You just kind of gotta be where your feet are. It's like we're in summer workouts now. I'm just kind of focused on that, honestly, getting the most out of that. And then we'll start camp end of July. So it's just kind of take it 1 week at a time, and then look back at the end and see what you put together. It's kind of my approach.
That seems to be the trend. I mean, from all the high level athletes that I've spoken to, is don't get too far ahead of yourself. Just focus on the next step ahead. And is that something that Coach Key kind of preaches to you guys? Just focus on what's right in front of you.
Yeah, totally. That's always kind of what it is. Like every day we go into lift, it's just focus on today. Like get the most out of the lift. Going to run, get the most out of the run. Because that's kind of how you're most, I suppose, productive and efficient. And there's no point thinking ahead too much, honestly, just because the way college football is, it's like every week is a battle. You only get 12 games in a season. So it's kind of every game is such a big deal. It's probably something that is kind of different about football to other sports. Basketball is 82 game season or whatever. College football, you get 12 games. It's 12 Saturdays a year, and you train all year round for that. So you just kind of
mental when you think about it, really, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah, I think like we tallied it up there. Like actually playing the games is probably like less than 1% of the time we spend in football is playing the actual game, which is kind of funny.
So looking ahead now to the start of the 2024 season, it's fitting really that the first game of the season will be your first game in front of a home crowd here in Ireland in the Aviva Stadium against the ACC rivals, Florida State. So you must be absolutely buzzing for that.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited for that. That'll be really fun. It'll be just cool to get all my friends and family up, being able to see a game. It's crazy the way it worked out. This first game of my senior season is in Dublin. So that'll be a cool experience. Again, I don't know what to expect. I'm sure there'll be plenty of trades and whatever around the game, and plenty of events and activities. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun.
What are you looking forward to most about the? I suppose it's a homecoming game for you, really, isn't there? Is it just the idea of actually getting to represent Georgia Tech in Dublin?
Yeah, it probably is. Just kind of like have a lot of extended family and friends that kind of haven't been able to make it over to America. And as I said, like you kind of have to go to a college football game to really see what it's like. So getting the opportunity to do that and getting to watch me is probably that's definitely something I'm really looking forward to.
So what's the plan kind of for after the season now? Obviously you don't want to look too far ahead as you've just said there, but I mean, would you like to keep playing football? Is the NFL something you're looking at, or what's your kind of thought process there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as I said, it's just kind of focus at one day at a time, but yeah, no, definitely I definitely have aspirations. Like I'm under no illusions. Like I know how hard it is to kind of crack an NFL job. There's 32 spots. in the entire world for NFL punters. But like you see guys like Jude McAtamney, like I'm really good friends with Jude, and seeing a guy like that kicking with the New York Giants and he's flying, it's very encouraging for me, So yeah, I'll definitely give it a good crack, and we'll see how the season goes.
I mean, it's definitely something that has been set alight is, Irish lads getting transported over to America to play American football, to play in the NFL. You had the likes of Charlie Smith. You mentioned Jude McAtanamy there with the Giants. How do you see the presence of Irish kickers in America growing in the next couple of years?
Yeah, it's tough, honestly, to crack America. Like probably the hardest thing in college football is there's only 130 teams in FBS football that'll give you a scholarship, and most teams, like for a punter or kicker, it's kind of one scholarship every 4 years if you have a guy. So it's not an easy nut to crack, you'd say. But yeah, no, I definitely see it progressing. There's obviously huge opportunity there. It's such a cool path to take. But yeah, like NFL is growing, college football is growing internationally as well. So I definitely think there'll be a lot more internationals in college football and in the NFL moving forward.
So, Dave, before we finish up, and I know you sort of answered this earlier on with a previous question, but what would be your favorite memory from your entire career at Georgia Tech so far? Your favorite football memory?
My favorite football memory. That's a good question.
It's one I'd like to finish
Um,
up with.
yeah, yeah, definitely North Carolina game is a highlight. I think my it was my sophomore year. We were playing Duke at home, and went to overtime, and we had a field goal to win it. And I was obviously I'm the holder on field goals. So one of my best friends, Gavin, is the kicker. He was the kicker back then. So he went out there and he smashed like 42-yard field goal. Stadium went nuts. Just class experience. Duke were ranked at the time as well, I'm pretty sure. So that's definitely that's a top memory as well as the North Carolina game from this past year.
Well, like it sounds like you've absolutely made the utmost of your time in Georgia Tech. You certainly have, like I said, you've been a trailblazer for, loads of kids looking at you over here, thinking, "Oh, I could do that." So look, the very best of luck with the 2024 season. We can't wait to see you in action in the Aviva Stadium, and I'm sure we'll catch up when you're back home for that game.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Dave.
Cheers.